Good afternoon, Super Smarties, and welcome back to Barcelona, Spain. We're here coming to the end of day 2 of our 4 days of live coverage on theCUBE. My name's Savannah Peterson, joined here with Dave Vellante for really what has been super intellectually stimulating dialogues from all of our guests.
Yeah, all the super smarties and the telco lovers.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Our little community over here, and all the Europeans. I mean, we really do get to reach a unique audience with this particular show, and so many big players in the game here.
Everybody's here, yeah.
Everybody is here, and speaking of big players, we've got Palo Alto Networks in the hot seat. Next, Anand, thank you so much for being here and coming to hang out.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, good to see you again.
CUBE alum, total VIP. There's a lot we're going to cover in this interview. Let's get started on your SASE 5G announcement, and then we'll work through some of the rest of that information. So tell us about that.
Good. If you see this Mobile World Conference right now, you're seeing SASE 5G really come to life. Now you look at service providers. They spend a lot of money on buying spectrum, building this broad 5G infrastructure. They're looking now ways to monetize that investment. And what is the best way? Enterprises. Now, if you think about SASE, SASE is all about secure access service edge. And we said it's built on the principle of zero trust, which means any user, any device. We solved the problem of a managed device. We solved the problem of connecting to any application, any data. Now, enterprise is seeing many 5G-enabled devices which have SIM cards, right? How do you secure those devices without changing the ecosystem of the service provider? So using the same SIM-based authentication mechanisms the service provider has, don't change the packet core, but still have that consistent security. So when I'm on my 5G device, and I go back home on Wi-Fi, or in the office on wired, I have that same consistent security, the consistent policy, and consistent manageability for my employees. That's what we announced yesterday with Prisma SASE 5G.
Well, that's very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, if we go back, I don't know, mid last year, you recall there was this discussion about consolidation and spending fatigue, and things happen, right? I mean, the industry still is, the spending climate now is more uncertain than ever, but.
That's for sure.
And then leading up to RSA, we did a survey with our partners ETR, asking customers, are they able to consolidate the number of vendors in their stack? And most of them said, no, we're having a hard time doing it. Now, when I listen to your earnings calls, very clearly you're winning in the platformization game. So what are you seeing? And we, by the way, we predicted in our breaking analysis predictions this year, we said platformization is not going to stop, right? It's the right path for security. So explain for the audience, why is platformization a more secure approach?
Okay, so if you talk to any customer, and very simply say, what do they want? They want to make more money, they want to save money, and they'll be out of trouble, right? Think of platformization. Platformization is about, today customers have 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 different security tools. They have to have different consoles to manage them, they have to build expertise. It is not possible. You can't have a different point solution for every new thread you have. You have AI secure access, you have AI runtime, you can't have point products and solutions. Platformization is, primary goal is not consolidation. It's, you have operational complexity, you want to reduce it. You want to give ROI to our customers. But the most important part of platformization, how do I get you a better security outcome? Because if I can't make you more secure, nothing else matters. And that's the journey that we've been on. Now, of course, customers, when they do it, they'll consolidate tools. Of course, they'll save money. But the primary objective is how do I get a better security outcome? You look at different point products and tools, Dave. They don't talk to each other. They don't share threat intelligence. So actually, they give you a poor security outcome. With platformization, you have the combination of best-in-class products, tightly integrated, a common view for manageability, from let us say day -1 to day n, across operations, configurations, security policies, AI ops, incidents, alerts, bringing it all together. Because you want to stop the kill chain, the attack, anywhere. You can have it stop with DNS security, with threat prevention, with malware. These need to coordinate. These need to work together seamlessly. Only then do you get a better security outcome.
Let me play devil's advocate and have you respond as to why your approach accelerates that outcome. Because some people would say, well, I have a new threat and there's this new tool, it's best of breed, I'm going to deploy it, and I'm going to API all this data in, maybe into a lake, and I'm going to analyze it, and I can achieve a similar you used the word, you said consolidation is not the goal, but I'm going to say consolidated outcome.
Sure.
So, but you hear that a lot from customers. Why is your approach better? Is it best, can it be best of breed and platformized? And why does it accelerate that outcome?
Yes. First, it can be best of breed and platformized. Let's take an example. We all heard about the AI boom last 2 years. Okay, we have two big problems in AI, for securing AI. Employees are accessing AI applications, whether you like it or not. Whether IT knows about it or not.
They have smartphones.
Right. No, even from the office.
Yeah, absolutely.
60% of employees are accessing AI, Gen AI powered applications.
Yep, sure.
You want visibility into what employees are accessing. You want control. What do you want to allow, deny, what do you want to sanction, or tolerate. You want to protect them from sending your most sensitive data, which can happen not intentionally.
Exactly, I was just thinking that. Yeah, it's so easy for an accident to happen in one of these moments, and having that observability over that is imperative.
And then all of these applications, they give you responses. The responses can have phishing links. The responses can have malware. How do you protect that? Now, if you take this as a problem, you have two options. You can say, I'm going to have a point product to deploy to solve my AI access solution, or I'm going to integrate on a platform. If you want a point product, you deploy an agent on your endpoint, you deploy proxy solution, get the traffic in line. It's cumbersome. If you have a platform, you just enable the feature on. The same would apply for runtime security for applications. I'm building in these AI applications. They're talking to the infrastructure, models, tools, plugins. They talk to each other, they have access to sensitive data, they talk to the outside world. I have software firewalls in every cloud provider, natively integrated. I just upgraded to support model, app, and data protection. And that's the power of platformization. You get to a better, faster outcome with lower operational complexity.
Okay, so this is a promise that
everyone
you guys,
wants.
Yeah, which everyone wants, but this is a promise to you guys. It's not like you just made this up yesterday. You've been at this for a while now.
Absolutely.
So you have data.
Yes.
What does the data tell you about the outcomes? What are the results? What's the business value that your customers are seeing? Can you quantify that in any way?
So the most important outcome that we get from customers are the number of threats that they are not able to stop or they're getting breached, right? If you think of the platform-centric approach, let me give you some data. We are stopping, and this may blow your mind away, 30.8 billion, with the B, attacks every single day.
30 billion?
30.8 billion every single day. You go back a year ago.
I can imagine that's only going up.
You go back a year ago, there was maybe 12 or 13 billion. A small number of those, 9 million, a very small number but still a big number, 9 million, are net new attacks. Attacks that nobody has ever seen before. And we're able to stop it because we have what we call precision AI. It's a combination of machine learning, deep learning, infused with Gen AI to give us a very holistic solution, right? And that's the scale of the platform. Every time we enable new services, the platform gets better. Why? Because I have the network effect of data. I'm sharing threat intelligence. You can have good AI when you have good data.
It all gets smarter together.
Exactly.
And how about the false positives on those, whatever it was, couple million?
A small number, but we always are learning. It's a feedback loop, and we get better every time.
So what happens in that false positive? It's just, it's an exception.
It's an exception. You understand it. You research it. You update the models. You fine tune the models, and you keep processing.
And the AI learns from that exception.
Yes, absolutely. Today we have 4,400 deep learning custom models on the Network City platform, and with that we're able to stop 30.8 billion attacks daily.
That. You were not kidding when you said that was probably going to blow our minds.
Yes.
Now that I'm just wrapping my head around this, how long has it taken you to develop this, and how are you, and I'm sure you're thinking about this a lot, I mean, the attacks are only going to get greater and greater and greater with the toolkits that are out there. So how have you designed to adapt as this continues to grow and scale?
It's a wonderful question. If you see the threat landscape today, I call it the 3 S's. It's increasing in scale, it's increasing in sophistication, and speed. If you rewind the clock 10, 12 years ago, we were the first companies to introduce machine learning for sandboxing or wildfire, what we call our product, right? And people said, you can't send this data to the cloud, it's not going to work. It worked. Over 5, 6 years ago, we saw that the traditional way of security, of a signature or a database, is not sufficient. What I mean by that is, take an example of, simplest example, URL filtering. The way everybody does URL filtering in the world, and some even today, is you crawl the internet, you build a database of every URL in the world, you give every URL a risk score, you group them into categories. These are news websites, adult content, websites of country X, and you set a policy. That is not working anymore. Attackers are too sophisticated. Websites come up and down in seconds.
Yeah.
Before I can build a database, it's gone. Attackers will register domains 5 years ago, they use it today. It appears benign. And I can give many such techniques they use. So what we learned, what we realized 5 or 6 years ago is that signature and databases are good hygiene. They're sufficient, but not enough. You got to look at things inline, real time, metadata, content, to stop these attacks before you ever seen them. Because the days of you getting infected or you getting infected by an attack, me learning it, building a signature, pushing it, no longer works. Like we want to stop the patient zero attack, the first person. And that's the number I said, roughly 9 million are net new attacks that we are stopping every day. Attacks that nobody has ever seen before, and that's the power of precision AI.
That is incredibly powerful. I mean, we cover most of the big security conferences, and just, over the last year, I really feel like I've had my mind blown, because as we get to use these tools and do great things, everybody on the nefarious side also gets to use these tools and do strange things, and then it ends up impacting the consumer side of things as well. You mentioned that you had some interesting, fun, exciting announcements about consumer.
Yes, so look, I think if you look at 5G security broadly, at Palo Alto Networks, we have 3 broad solutions. First, we are building products to help secure service providers' 5G infrastructure across all layers: signaling, management plane, and data plane, across all facets. So your RAN interface, roaming interface, your GI interface, which is internet bound, in the cloud, on-prem, no matter where it is. That's one. And that's doing really well. And then we have that for a couple of years now. The second big category is, how do you help service providers monetize their 5G infrastructure? In that, there are 3 real solutions we have. First, for consumers. So we are partnered with Singtel, and they've launched a new service to help provide a secure connectivity for their consumers. And they charge X dollars a month more, a percentage of what they charge for regular connectivity, and it is one of their fast-growing services, where they're now able to prevent phishing attacks, malware attacks for the consumers. The second and third are both for enterprises, where you can give a slice, a 5G slice as a service to enterprise customers. So they can get that guaranteed slice, quality of service, and it's secure. And third is what we talked about, the SASE 5G. So all these 3 are part of how enterprises can benefit from 5G. The third broad category is private 5G is also taking off.
Yeah.
Especially in utilities, manufacturing, oil and gas.
You see it all over the show floor here, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you have OT security, OT visibility, segmentation, compliance, limit the vulnerabilities, and then full 5G security, where you can have granular policies based on the 5G device's IMSI or IMEI. That's the broad category of what we do in Palo Alto Networks for 5G.
So the business case?
It's a lot.
High level, twofold, reduced the expected loss, the risk, and then the monetization.
Yes.
Okay, and then you dig into that. Are telcos inherently easier to secure because they're so locked down, or?
Ooh, good question.
Or is there a different dynamic?
No, so it's different for different telcos. If you think about how 5G is built, many, you have customers who are building their 5G packet core in a cloud native architecture right from the get-go. And we have examples of that like Dish. You have other customers who are still migrating to standalone architecture for 5G. So it's different. The most important thing is that 5G provides a lot of inherent security functions. Over-the-air encryption, all those things. They're all good. But the issue is that you also need to secure the data plane. The real data that's flowing through it, that has malware or phishing and whatnot. Management layer, signaling layer, roaming interface, and data plane. All of that needs to be secured for the service provider.
But your data model is a centralized data model, correct? Is that fair to say, or not necessarily?
It need not be centralized, it could be distributed also. It depends on where you want it to be.
So that's my question on it, is how do you deal with like a logically centralized data model? I should restate it. It's a logically centralized data model. How do you deal with edge data and edge use cases in that model?
So, you can have enforcement points or form factors for enforcement at the edge, as deep into the RAN architecture, or in the packet core. All of them are doing different functions. At the end of the day, you are stopping different kinds of threats at different places. They're all coordinated, so they're kind of pseudo-centralized in that sense.
Okay, good. So, what else is happening in a telco that is exciting you? How about AI? How are they deploying AI? And specifically, how are they deploying AI to become more secure?
So, look, you're seeing 5G come to life. This is the first, one of the first MWC I see where people are really, getting in what enterprises and consumers. At the same time, you're seeing really AI come together at the same time. And this convergence is happening almost at the same time. And with AI, you're finding applications where you are using AI for better security, the examples they gave you, but also you're finding that AI is getting built into every single customer's outcome. What I mean by that is every single organization I speak to is building an AI-powered application to transform their business model to give a better experience to their customer. And as they go on this journey, they're wanting to know, how can I make sure that I'm secure? Because in the classical model of an application, you had a 3-tier model. You had a front end, a back end, and database layer. Then the cloud came along. People said, don't take your lift and shift your application. Build it on microservices. If you think of AI-powered application, it's really the third wave of application development. Because it's no longer taking an application, a model, and plugging it. You're bringing an entire AI infrastructure, tools, data sets, plugins. All of these talk to each other. They talk to the outside world. They do amazing things for you. You can have translation. You can have some credit card transactions through the models. But they are having access to sensitive data. And how do you secure that? Your models, your data, and your applications. And there are new types of attacks. The old attacks were people attacking applications by trying to obfuscate your APIs and getting in there. Now people are doing prompt injection attacks, denial of service attacks, data leak attacks. So you have to protect all these new attacks in addition to the existing attacks. And that's the, what we call the AI runtime security solution.
Clever, aren't they? RSA next month.
Yes.
You want to tease us a little bit? Anything
Look,
you can...
There's a lot going on in security. And as we spoke about, there's things that we are doing for precision AI, and we'll continue to do that, right? Good AI runs on good data. You're seeing a lot of discussion on agents, access to agents, securing agents, data from the agents. How do you bring all this thing together from a platform-centric approach? You're seeing a lot of excitement around a secure browser, right? Because you're able to now have a new layer of protection on managed devices, but also get these unmanaged devices. We're seeing amazing traction on Prisma SASE 5G because it gives now telcos a new avenue to monetize for enterprise customers without changing their core infrastructure, which they've invested billions on. That's very exciting.
And that is imperative too. Nobody wants to rebuild that. Nobody wants to lose out on that investment, but there's ways to optimize that moving forward. All right, one final question for you. Going to take it a little farther than RSA out. When we're here next year at Mobile World Congress, what do you hope to be able to tell us then that you can't tell us now?
Look, I would love to see a wider deployment of people building secure private 5G networks. Today, still many networks in private 5G are built with security as an afterthought. And so we have great, and that's why we built this whole private 5G ecosystem partners. We have many partners, access vendors, partnering with folks like Nokia, NTT Data, with NVIDIA, OneLayer, because this is an ecosystem approach. So I'm hoping that one, because all of these private 5G networks are built in areas which are like manufacturing, utilities, oil and gas. These are highly regulated, but also very critical from an infrastructure perspective. And second, I'd love to see a lot more progress around service providers able to monetize their 5G investments through slicing, SASE, consumers, and whatnot.
I love it. Well, we look forward to helping you tell those stories. Anand, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you in San Francisco. You're welcome.
Yes,
we will. And hopefully we'll continue to see all of you tuning in to our 4 days of live coverage here in Barcelona, Spain at Mobile World Congress. My name's Savannah Peterson. You're watching theCUBE, the leading source for enterprise tech news.